How to build business lines of credit in 120 days. My name is Jonathan Fodera, and I've been in small business lending for the past 14 years. I own integrated business financing, and there are a couple tips and tricks I can give you to help make sure you are on the right path to getting a true business line of credit and business trade lines. First, let's get into this. A lot of people make these mistakes and they don't game plan for fundability factors. Basically, what a fundability factor is, let's define it, is something that when you apply for financing at a bank or when you apply for a trade line with a vendor, it could be Staples, Granger, and they check out your business profile, it automatically sends off red flags. So it's very important that when you're setting everything up that you have all these bases covered. So the first one, when you open a business, you want a business email. What do I mean by that? It shouldn't say johnsmith@gmail or accuratepaving@gmail. It can't be an @gmail. You can use a Google Suite business address. So what that means is you're going to go in and buy the domain, and then you are going to make a business email. So it would be, John Smith @ABC Company. Okay, you would have another email that says info@ or customer relations or customer service @ABC Paving Company. That's step number one. Make sure you have a business email. The second part of this, make sure you have a website. It doesn't have to be intricate. It doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. You can get a website made very cheaply. It might just be a one-page website, but it needs to be there. Why? Because it kind of proves that your business exists. So make sure that's set up. What's going to happen is when those online tools scrape to see your fundability factors, they're going to see a website and they're going to see that it's coming from a business email. I'll give you a quick story. I was working with somebody to get equipment financing. And this client had his own Gmail, did not have a website, and he did have decent credit, but at the end of the day, he didn't get approved because of where his business credit was, because 93% of all business vendors do not report to your business credit. And so what we did was we had to help him build his business credit and fix these fundability factors. It took, 120 days, and then we reapplied him and he got approved. He was very, very happy. So next, open up a Dun & Bradstreet account or number. You don't have to pay them. They will give you and issue your DUNS number. So you just go to Dun & Brad's, okay, you could put it in a Google search and request the number. You're gonna need your federal tax ID. You're going to need maybe your articles of incorporation, and you should be able to set that up for free. They should not charge you for that. And then what you wanna do is when you apply for vendor credit, you wanna make sure they report. You wanna use your tax ID and you wanna use your DUNS number. Now, where can you go to set that up pretty quickly, pretty easily? You can go to Staples. When you fill out the credit application, don't put your social, you just put your DUNS number and your federal tax ID. You can do the same thing with Granger. And by you doing this, you're going to start establishing business credit, and you should ask anybody that you use on a consistent basis. You need to ask them if they report to business bureaus. If they report to the business bureaus, make sure you use them and you pay it off at the end of every month. You can't afford to have any late payments on your business credit. I want to tell you, a previous client we had, he was applying for, again, equipment financing. He did not have a DUNS number, and he didn't realize that his vendors weren't reporting. So what happened was he applied through us for equipment financing. He only got approved on the strength of his personal credit. Meanwhile, if he had everything set up, it would have helped add to his business credit. All right. He just had very, very good credit, so we were able to get it done. That doesn't always happen. It's not always the case. So you want to make sure that this is established. You have a DUNS number. Next, you need a business address. You cannot have a PO box. If you have a PO box, it's going to set off alarm bells. You're going to get flagged when they're looking at that fundability score. If you're a home-based business, that's fine. Put your home address. If you have an office or you're leasing an office or you have a location, make sure you're using that address. All right. It's very important it all lines up. And then the next thing to add on that is do not use a Google Voice number. So many businesses have a Google Voice number and it shows it's listed to Google, not your business. You can go several places and get a phone line. If you don't want to go to like Optimum or one of the telecompanies, you can go to Call 8 or somewhere else that will have that number registered to your business. Do not use a Google Voice. It's a little trick that'll really help you save a lot of time and you won't get flagged. And basically what you want to do is you want to incorporate that and Google My Business. If everything is listed correctly in Google My Business and you open your DUNS number and you start actively building these business trade lines, you're going to build your business credit and it's going to be much easier to get a business line of credit. Give you an example. example, I had a client, his name was Rob Welsh. He recently worked with us about 3 or 4 months ago. He changed his corporate entity and he wanted to make sure he had established business credit. So we went through, we made sure that every single thing matched up. He's at that 120-day mark. Now he has tier 1 business credit and he's going to a tier 2 business credit, all right? Which means he's gonna get net 30 account, all right? And what that does is it further builds his business credit. So when he needs to apply for an SBA loan, if he needs to do a B2B transaction, if he needs anything like that, he has a much higher likelihood of getting approved and getting approved with fantastic terms, right? And it's all these little things were set up and we made sure we worked with him, our entire team worked with him to get everything established and reporting. After we started helping him, he was very, very appreciative and he said, I can't believe it was that easy to get done. And now he has liquidity and access to capital to grow and scale his business and not put every single thing on his personal credit. And that is a huge advantage. If you can put your business expenses separate from your personal, you're not going to increase your debt to income ratio, which means you're going to have higher personal credit. Why is that important? Well, personal credit's always going to come into play when you're looking at a business line of credit, when you're looking at an SBA loan. So having strong personal credit and strong business credit will open up the most doors for your business. All right. It is super, super important that you take care of both of those, because if you take care of both of those, you are going to have a much easier time getting financing. You're going to get financing faster and you're going to be able to build your business quicker. And also, when you separate your business and personal credit, what winds up happening is your business is more valuable because it's not just about you. Your business has established trade lines. It has everything verified. So it's easier to work with you. And then here's the last piece I want to tell you and why it's so important to have these lines and have them up and active. I spoke at a top contractor conference and one of the contractors there was just getting awarded a giant contract from a municipality. Problem is he didn't have the business credit to qualify, right? He needed a PAYDEX score of 80 and he was at 60. And what we found out when we did his review is a lot of his vendors were not reporting. Because of that, we had to expedite his business credit and we basically had to work round the clock to get him up to that 80 so he can get that larger job. And a lot of these larger jobs and companies, and especially if you're doing government work, municipality work, it's sometimes they don't tell you you're not getting the contract because you don't have strong enough business credit. When you have that business credit, you're able to get that job and usually they're larger jobs. If you don't have strong business credit, they may cap you on lower jobs. His name was Jake. After we got done, he was ecstatic that we were able to save that job because it was a $3 million job. You know, the first part of it was $1 million and then it had more work. So here's what I want you to do. We talked about your fundability factors and how you can establish a business line of credit and these trade lines in 120 days. I'd like you to reach out. If you mention this YouTube video, I'll make sure I pull and review your business credit for free so we can start getting a game plan in action so you can start building your business the right way. No strings attached, free report, and we will review it together. This way we know you're on the right track. Remember, integrate your business. We're here to help. We want to see you win. Take care.